continue to ramp up pressure for some sort of international action against Russia for what happened off the shores of annexed Crimea. Andrew Simmons, Al Jazeera, Kiev.
Well, Andrij Dobriansky is the communications director at the Ukrainian Congress Committee of America. He joins me now from New York. Thank you very much for speaking to us. Does Ukraine risk renewed conflict or perhaps opening up a new front in an existing conflict with Russia?
Ukraine isn't risking anything. To use the words of Russia at this point, which no international body is accepting, is a farce. To ask Ukraine to de-escalate would be asking Ukraine to first occupy a piece of land in the Russian Federation equal to the size of Belgium. That's not something Ukraine has done. Ukraine has not displaced over 2 million Russian citizens. That's not something Ukraine has done. That is what Russia has done.
Can I ask you about your concern regarding the nature of the rhetoric we're hearing right now? We just had a report there from our correspondent in Kiev. He was saying that there is a sense of escalation. You have Ukraine's Navy talking about Russians shooting to kill, Russians saying that limited martial law could escalate the conflict. Is this something that Ukraine can afford?
Ukraine has no choice but to operate in this way if it's being invaded. It has been invaded daily for over 4 years. It is simply responding to the fact that its own citizens are being killed. They're being shot at on a daily basis. And now what we see are open Russian military personnel with Russian insignia in Russian ships attacking Ukrainian boats that have not been armed. I want to underscore the fact that these boats had their artillery disarmed from the boats, and they were merely looking for the right of way, which Russia promised months ago.
Can I put to you that the counter-argument, the Kremlin and also some Ukrainian opposition figures saying that Kiev is right now deliberately antagonizing Russia for domestic political reasons to strengthen the position of Petro Poroshenko in an election that he would otherwise lose?
The elections are months away. Electioneering doesn't start until the new year. This is not something that is done for political purposes on the face of it. If, in fact, as I must repeat, unarmed Ukrainian boats were rammed by Russian military personnel, and the question that Russia poses to the world is, why is Ukraine antagonizing it? How could Ukraine be antagonizing Russia if Russia is literally occupying a space of land as large as Belgium in Ukraine?
I take your point, but we have seen that there has been international condemnation of Russia's recent actions, but you know that the international pressure doesn't have an effect on what the Russians might do next. So I put it to you, is perhaps the prudent measure to take steps to perhaps de-escalate the situation as opposed to opening up a new front with Russia?
The pressures being put on by Russia are very mild, considering that they are a rogue state that has 7 active conflict zones around this border. The sanctions that have been put on Russia are nowhere near the sanctions on Iran, North Korea. Even the United States has sanctioned Cuba more than it sanctions Russia. And Cuba is not a threat at the moment at all. So what we are looking for is for actual sanctions to be ratcheted up. The EU, in fact, could put a Magnitsky law, in fact, that's global, in terms of all of the European countries could have a Magnitsky Act. Nord Stream 2 could be shot down. This would have serious effect on Russia and increase the pressure on the Russians to stop invading Ukraine, because that is what they are doing. Ukraine is not antagonizing Russia. Ukraine is being a sovereign country signing trade deals with the EU. It is not the other way around that Ukraine has at any point attacked Russia.
Right. Well, thank you for your views and thoughts. Andrij Dobriansky, the communications director at the Ukrainian Congress Committee of America, joining us there from New York. Well, now Mexico.